Call to order. Good evening, everybody. The date is March 11th, 2026. The time is 6:01, and I would like to call this work session meeting of the Rochelle Park Township Committee to order. Pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act, notice of the March 11, 2026 meeting was published on the Township website on January 7th, in the Bergen Record and Herald News on January 11th, and the Our Town on January 22nd. Notice of the closed session meeting was published on the Township website on March 6th. Copies of all notices are on file with the Township Clerk and have been made available to the public. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Okichi. Here. Committeewoman Judge Corbello.
Here.
Committeeman Smith.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Chawinski.
Here.
And Mayor Miller.
Here. All right. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to adopt resolution number 26-089, authorizing the Township Committee to enter closed session to discuss legal issues, litigation, potential litigation, contract negotiations, and attorney-client privilege matters. Topics include the Tulsa litigation, summons matters involving 120 West Passaic Street and Mazda of Lodi, and legal matters related to the Township housing element and fair share housing plan, including the bank diner property. Do I have a motion to enter closed session?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Okichi. Yes. Committeewoman Judge Corbello.
Yes.
Committeeman Smith.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chawinski.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. All right. The Township Committee will now enter closed session for approximately 1 hour, after which we will return to public session for further action. We are now in closed session. I have a motion to come out of closed session.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Okichi.
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Corbello.
Yes.
Committeeman Smith.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chawinski.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. All right. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. First, we have Building Department budget presentation. Mr. DiMaria, please join us in the front.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You're welcome to take a seat, James. You want to?
Taking longer. Sit down and talk. Let's see. So for our 2026 code enforcement operating budget, 7 line item requests. Our permit software SDL is $17,500. They are offering a 3-year subscription at a minor significant cost savings, but that's up to the township on how they want to proceed with that. Telephone service, $1,750. Copy machine rental and specialized forms, $2,500. Code books, $500. Uniform, $500. Office supplies, $1,000. And an additional $1,000 for other expenditures. Special needs and future considerations for the department. The plumbing and electrical subcode official, they're requesting pay parity to the building subcode official. Also recommend hire backup plumbing and electrical inspector to be utilized as a as needed basis for when they're away or sick. There's somebody to fill in on those inspections. And the other item is the possibility of obtaining an additional $14,000 for a software called Forerunner with the adoption of the new floodplain management ordinance. This is a software that will help track the expenditures on the properties. It assists in damage estimates during times of natural disasters, and it also allows the residents to go on and see where they're at within that 3-year look-back cycle. And that's all. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. DiMaria?
I missed the amount. What was the amount that you said they requested?
What, for the software for
No.
The OE.
The whole.
Operating expenses for 26.
the total?
Yes, please.
Let me add it up. Sorry. Bear with me. $24,750 for phone minimum no fluff, just what you need to keep the door open.
Anyone else?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. DiMaria. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right. Our next item is a presentation from Colliers Engineering regarding the pump station. Before they come up, if everyone looks at the agenda, they'll see the township has resolution 26-094, which authorizes the township to go back out to bid for the pump station project that was prepared by Boswell Engineering and with Boswell Engineering. The project previously went out to bid in November, and the bids came back significantly higher than our estimates and budget, so the township rejected those bids in December. And the bid we are authorizing tonight is the same plan that was prepared last November by Boswell Engineering. But separately from that process, Colliers Engineering offered to take a look at the pump station at no cost to the township. They conducted a site visit and reviewed the facility, and tonight they're here to present a report on their observations. Before they come up, does anyone from the Township Committee have any questions or comments regarding going back out to bid for the pump station with Boswell Engineering? All right. Please, Colliers Engineering, come on up. Please take a seat. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yes, I'll give a little bit of an overview. We took a look at the design by Boswell. We were involved with any of that previous to recently reviewing it. My first question when taking a look at it, because the project is a new pump station near the existing station, is was it looked at to rehabilitate the existing station? When I say rehabilitate, that's pretty much keeping the concrete bones of the structure, replacing everything else within the structure. So my team and I went and we took a look at the existing station. The existing pump station is old, but we didn't see any signs or any reason why that we saw that you can rehabilitate the existing pump station. Now, there are things you want to look at in more detail, looking at the electrical of the station, having a structural engineer come and do a detailed structural assessment of the existing below grade and above grade structure, look at the environmental aspects of the station, even because as old as it is, looking at like asbestos and lead in the existing building and abating that, which those things would be necessary even if the new station is built and the existing one is demoed to deal with those things. But what we'd recommend as the next phase is a more detailed assessment of the station and as part of that, developing a concept plan of what would be necessary to go through the detailed rehabilitation of the station, and a cost estimate of what that would cost in relation to building a brand new pump station. Now, it's hard to say, kind of conceptual, what that cost would be for rehabilitation. And so we went through a detailed evaluation and conceptual plan, but I can say from my professional opinion that it would be less than the construction of a new pump station. And typically, that's what we look at on the municipal level. We do a lot of these pump station designs. It's more commonly rehabilitating an existing station than building new, because it is typically more cost competitive.
Any questions for Colliers? Yes, please.
Hi. Did you look at it's in a flood way?
Yes.
And tell me what you think about that.
Sure. So I know that's the reason why the existing, or the current project with Boswell was to move the station out of the floodway. There are many things that we can do from a resiliency and sustainability perspective to the existing station. That's why I was saying to come up with a concept plan in detail of how you'd rehabilitate the station, because, the type of things that could get, ruined or you'd have to replace during a flooding event at the station are things like the electrical equipment, the controls, the SCADA, which sends out the signals to the operators, the generator, even though I think I was told that was still okay at the level it was during Sandy, but confirming that all those pieces of equipment can withhold a flood event Typically the type of pumps you use in a pump station like this are submersible, meaning they can get completely submerged in, non-sewage water, even sewage, and continue to run. But that's what we would look at, is all the components that can continue to run and not be subject to, floodwaters or failures during events. So there are ways to do that. And we typically do that with any type of pump station rehabilitation, even, DEP, whether you go to them for permitting or if you go to DEP for funding through, say, like the I-Bank, the State Revolving Fund. We deal with a lot of entities that use that funding for projects. They have resiliency requirements that require you to do those things as well, like make sure the electrical panels are raised a foot above the 500-year flood elevation, those types of things.
Are you aware of the history of this pump station?
Yeah. We were. I think there was some of it in the Boswell report, and I got some from talking with the operations staff as well, the history of the flooding and the issues with that with the station.
So are you aware that there's a FEMA grant that was passed in December that we could use this? Samantha, am I understanding we can use the soft costs on this now?
Yes, we could start to draw down on the soft costs.
Okay. So on that FEMA grant, which would give the township $1.9 million, the approval scope of the work involves the construction of new, if you don't mind, I'm going to read this.
Sure.
If anybody would like a copy, I can give it to you also. I'm sorry? You don't want to. Anyway, the new sanitary pump station facility with 2 full-time efficient pump capability meeting the required demand. A SCADA system would be installed which would collect analysis data of the pump station equipment to ensure that it could be operated correctly, as well as emergency backup generator, right? So that what you were talking about. The new pump station will be constructed outside the floodway, and located about the 500-year flood elevation of the Salmon River. The facility would be winterized and connected to the existing sewerage, after which point the current existing pump station would be decommissioned and removed. So this is under the speculation of the FEMA grant that we're talking about, $1.9 million. So is that jeopardized if you look at that?
That's something I haven't seen the actual brick grant, I believe was what was received for that. As part of the next phase, what we would look at is funding options and determine if the brick grant, if it is possible to still use that. There are other funding options as well for funding this type of infrastructure project.
I understand that we do have this brick grant right now. That
Yeah.
we can, as our administrator said, start drawing down on. So this is their speculation. Their specs to say this is why we can do it. So if we can move it and do it that way, that's what my question is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, if there is, and as you were saying, there's funding for the $1.9 million from the brick grant, but I think the bids came in about $7.9 million. So if the township has the remaining $6 million to fund it, it is a viable project for the replacement. I think it's an expensive, costly way of addressing the problem. But if there is funding for the rest of it, it can be done that way. I think the brick grant may not be eligible for this project if the project is done within the floodway. That's something we could have our grants and funding department look into, as well as other funding options.
So you understand that it was, stalled for a reason, and try to go back out for it again. It may not come at all. We may not get it at all. But now we can start drawing down on it.
Okay.
This is $1.9 million that the township needs to, in my opinion, build the station and go toward that funding. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know if you knew the history on this.
Only part of it, so it was helpful to understand that aspect of the brick grant.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Jordan,
Sure.
what is your position with Colliers?
I'm a manager in our water wastewater group. I'm our regional discipline leader for New Jersey.
And you oversee, design, build pump stations? That's what your main function is?
Correct. We have a team of in New Jersey, under me, about 15 people. I have about 25 years experience doing this in the wastewater realm, so drinking water, wastewater, working across municipalities, private utilities, working also for private development, constructing and designing that type of infrastructure. So exactly these types of projects. We do a lot of I would say probably a majority of the projects we do are pump station projects. On the municipal side, they're pretty much all rehabilitation typically. The new ones are usually only for private development clients where you're expanding a system and there's no infrastructure in that area that's being developed.
And in a peer-to-peer review, looking over plans that you saw that Boswell had prepared over time for the township, what's a realistic time frame to build something like that?
Construction of a new station like this,
If we put shovels in the ground right now.
yeah, I would say, say if this goes out to bid again and this is awarded, I didn't look at typically the specifications have how many calendar days in the specs. I didn't look at that in the existing specifications, but I would say a project like this is probably at least a year and a half for construction, just based on probably a new one getting closer, like year and a half time frame, from the time it's awarded to a contractor to the time that it's up in service and running and you could demolish the existing station. And that's just because of the lead times on equipment, the time for submittal review, the time for construction by the contractor, because for a new pump station like this, pretty significantly deep, 30-something feet deep in the vicinity of the existing structures, they're going to need to excavate and shore up that excavation, pour all the concrete, let that set, install the piping, install the equipment as it comes in, test everything up and get that up and running. So I would say probably in the year to year and a half time frame before a new station can be operational. That's if it was awarded right away to somebody.
In your professional opinion and your experience of building and rehabilitating plants like this all over the place, what kind of time frame does it take to rebuild something like this, like what we're talking about?
It's probably based on equipment lead time similar, maybe, from the time something goes out to bid and awarded to a contractor, probably maybe like a year, a little more than a year. What I would say though is the sequence and the way it would be constructed, if the new pump station was built, you can't demolish the existing pump station until the new one is fully built, up and running, and constructed. If you're rehabilitating the existing station, part of that design for rehabilitation is a bypass pumping plan. So basically, you need access to everything in that station. You have to take out the pumps, take out the piping, all the mechanical equipment. So there would be temporary pumps put in place that the contractor would be responsible for that would pump around it. So I would say, you're about, if something's awarded right away, you're about a year and a half out before the new station is up and running. You can demolish the existing station. If we go through the process of rehabilitation of the station, we would go through our analysis, come up with a detailed design, estimating that's maybe like a 6-month time frame to get something else out to bid. Once you get a bid from a contractor, their first step after submittal review, so if you're a couple of months in, maybe like 9 months, they'd be bypassing the existing station and starting the construction and waiting for equipment to come in to do the work and demoing the aspects of the existing station that are going to come out. So I would say from the time frame of not running the station and doing the work on it, you're talking probably about the same or sooner if you rehabilitate it, that the contractor is responsible for it, not the town.
And again, looking at this in your estimation and experience, background, the bid of $7,900,000 that came back for what you saw as a peer review on the existing plan, is that a real number to finish that project?
I think based on the design plans I looked at and some of my staff reviewed as well in discussion with them, I think it's a reasonable price for what was designed. Now, looking at some of the things in the risks of the depth of the excavation, contaminated soils in the area, and the way that the project was bid, the way the bid items were, I would assume that it's probably going to come in even a little bit higher than that, with the way some of the allowances were set up. So you're probably looking at, if the bids were 7.9, if I was to guess based on my experience in previous types of projects and looking at the plans and the way it was bid, you're probably looking at a higher cost at the end of the project for constructing the new station.
And we've been told many times, and I know there's in the past administrator in the office, in this room, that could probably bring to light better than I can, much better than I can, and couple past committee people. I would like to know, in your opinion, again, we've been told that the pump station that's here is being held together literally with Band-Aids and chewing gum. Is that, I mean, are we at risk of this? Regardless of what the scenario is, it's a year and a half out if we follow the plans that we have right now before we have an up and run. So what do we do in the meantime? Right? I mean, I mean, should we go get some pumps? I mean, what are we doing? I just want your opinion. I think it would be important for the public to hear your opinion and Collier's opinion on what we have. I've seen the building, I've been in the pump station, I've seen it myself, but I'd like to know what your opinion is.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the aging infrastructure on the sewer side like this, you're not unique in the age of the facility, the age of the piping, the pumps, things like that. I think I was told that the pumps were not that long ago replaced. Well, it might have been like 10 years or something like that. So it's a decent amount of time, but, there's a lot of things that the operations staff can do working with the vendors, bring in new pumps, even temporary pumps in the wet well, similar to what would need to be done for the bypass plan during rehabilitation. Like you were saying, that station would need to stay in effect and run for another year and a half if a new station was built. That's why I was kind of comparing it to the time frame. If you rehabilitate the station, you start demoing it and you have to bypass it, which will probably be sooner. So if you look at rehabilitation, the town would probably be responsible for the existing station or keeping it running for less of amount of time if you rehabilitate the station. But you're looking at the station, I'm not concerned like tomorrow it's going to stop pumping sewage. There's a lot of stations, aging stations like this throughout the state, where operations staff, along with the type of vendors that supply the pumps, piping, valves, are very adept at keeping these things up and running. And a worst case scenario is if something does fail or a pipe breaks, you get in there and you fix that. But, it's possible to come up with a bypass plan, the same as we would rehabilitating the station, to bypass it in a worst case scenario. But I don't think based on the condition of the station, you're not looking at a worst case scenario right now with the condition of the station.
Okay. That's fair. Just trying to grasp everything. I was concerned because when I got on the Township committee, I was told about the pump station. I've been made aware of it. I've done a lot of homework and I've tried to dig my heels in as best I can. But when the price tag went from $4 million to $7.9 million in my time on here, which hasn't been very long, I have a concern that, is there a cap on this? That's what my bigger concern is now. Now that we're at 7.9, what's to stop us from going to 11 million on this by the time this is done? We're talking about contaminated soil, trucking contaminated soil, right? There's a lot of other factors that come into play with this that we don't have control over. Am I right? You would know, am I right? Do we have?
I agree with that, and that was, as I was saying before, one of my concerns with the way that it was bid. I think it was a little risky how it addressed the contaminated soils. That could turn into a large item and change order, I think, during construction based on what is tested, what comes out of the soil, and how it needs to be disposed of.
And if we have a grant for 1.9 million, do you think, Teresa, we can go back and say we have extenuating circumstances, we need 2.9 million to cover?
I honestly, I can't guarantee anything of that, but the thing about the cap, I think we did already have the soil tested in that area that they're looking at, if I'm correct, and they did do an analysis on it, which cost the township money. I don't know about a cap, because even in any kind of stay-home construction, it could be termites behind the wall, you don't even know it, right? So you really can't have, in my opinion, a cap in that per se. I just heard you say that, what you looked at was probably in the area of 7 million, that you looked over the plans that the way it was. So I don't know anything about caps. I don't know, but I do know about this grant that's $1.9 million, and that's where I'm looking at the money for the township. Now, any project, you know, you 20%, whatever, you always leave a little extra, so you make sure you have that in case. But I do believe did you see the analysis, the soil analysis of the new area?
I did not. I haven't seen any information on the soil testing. I've only seen the bid documents that went out.
Last year, and I believe, you know, when we're looking at it, you would want to know the history of it. So that was already done and paid for. I mean, I believe right now, we're probably in the area somewhere, and don't quote me, but I did get something from, I'm sorry? You know, the financial of it, you know, $250,000 already from taxpayers' money that was already put into it, if not more. So now we're looking to start over. Now you're asking the taxpayers to start more with more money. And I understand what you're saying. I understand what Matt's saying. I understand the whole situation, but moving forward, we have to look at the past too. So
Of course.
if you saw the soil analysis that was done and they did look at it, maybe you can understand, you know, maybe moving it if you had to. That's just, again, my opinion.
Any other questions before I open up to public comment? Go ahead.
You mentioned something about other ways of funding. Can you speak to the funding possibilities?
Sure. Typically, a lot of the other municipal utility authority clients that we deal with this type of project, and I have a number of current ones right now. There's another authority client I'm working with where we're rehabilitating 2 of their large stations, 6 of their smaller stations, essentially all the pump stations in the town. They're going to iBank, which is the state revolving fund for New Jersey. They have the clean and the drinking water fund. So they have 2 separate funds of the federal money that comes through the state for low interest loans, some principal forgiveness. So typically these type of infrastructure projects, we go to iBank because you can get a low interest loan and the chance of principal forgiveness. So for a project like this,
What did you say, principal? There's possible principal forgiveness?
There's the potential for principal forgiveness. So what they do is,
how does that work?
yeah, iBank ranks the projects. So there's initial funding submittal that you put into them, explain the project, explain the need. Things that go into that are median incomes in the town. So, you know, lower median incomes will drive a higher ranking, and the ranking of the project is what goes towards the principal forgiveness. So the program's been getting more popular. So there's, I would say, less in recent years of the principal forgiveness, because typically what they give out is low interest loans. So usually it's a fraction of the loan is at the market rate and a fraction is at 0 interest. So essentially you're beating the market rate with the interest over on a 30-year loan. So you need to go through submission to iBank, bond counsel for the project, but you can get a very, very low interest rate to spread the cost of the project over time so that it doesn't impact the rate base. It's spread over time. So it's debt that makes sense because you're paying such a low rate on that. And that's typically what a lot of our other clients go with, as long as the project is large enough, because you're going through kind of the red tape necessary through iBank. But a project of this size, I would say that it would make sense. The principal forgiveness is only if you rank high enough, and not guaranteed. That's a possibility as you submit to them, and iBank will tell you what your chances are of that.
So why would that process be available for either way if we do this pump station?
It could be, but iBank you need to apply at the beginning of design typically, because they have to give an authorization for a project to go out to bid. They have to approve the entire design permits before it goes out to bid. So it could be possible for the existing project, but that process would need to be followed before it's a contractor selected and it's bid again with iBank.
So it's still possible to apply for that?
It could be on the existing projects. It could be, but you couldn't put it right back out to bid. You would need the authorization of iBank to bid it. What they do is you have to go through the entire application process with them. They give you authorization to advertise the project, to put it out to bid. Once you receive bids, engineer reviews them, provides a recommendation. The town reviews it, their legal counsel. Then iBank also reviews it and provides authorization to award. So unless they've been involved and you have the application with them prior to bid, the iBank is off the table. So that process would have to be gone through.
So if the township were to go out to bid for the way the pump station is drawn right now, the way that, Boswell Engineering drew it for a new location, it would be possible for us to, before we go out to bid, go for that I-bank if we wanted to do that, right? We could apply for that and do that. But how long of a process is that?
If you're starting right now, typically we do it concurrent with design. Like if we're going to do the rehabilitation, and move forward on that, I'd recommend it right away so that it could happen concurrently with the design. I mean, I would say, I'm trying to think, if you're taking a existing design and going to them to apply, you're probably 4 to 6 months out before you could bid something, to go through all the planning documents and applications and bond counsel if necessary with them.
So when is that typically, when is it typical to do that application? What part of the design process?
On all of our projects, like if I was to recommend, well, with what I recommended before, if the town decided to go forward with, the design of a rehabilitation, I would recommend reach out to I-bank immediately and start that process so that it happens concurrently with the design being done, so it doesn't delay the project.
And does I-bank also reimburse, or can you lump in design fees into that?
Yes, that they, as part of that application, when we do our cost estimates, there's percentage that they allow, but, our engineering contract, typically the engineering contracts, and the fees are reimbursed as part of the loan application as well. So those typically are put out upfront by the town, and then once you close on the loan, which is usually like after a contractor's award, we have definitive price on the contract, you submit the contract with the contractor, the engineering contracts, any other soft costs that the town has, administrative costs, and those are all reimbursable from I-bank. So those are basically put into the long-term bond and the loan that's being paid back. So all those things could be lumped into the I-bank loan.
So the project we have right now we do not have any application in with I-bank right now. The one that
Not as far as I'm aware, yeah.
I think we do have, we did
We
have
do?
the application already put in for the I-bank. I remember it being mentioned, like last year sometime, right?
So I think members of the public want to weigh in right now. So can I get a motion to open public comment limited to Collier's engineering report? Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Ampici? Yes. Committeewoman Judge Carvalho?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Joyce?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to speak, and each person will have 1 speaking opportunity during this public comment session. We are open.
If you don't mind, I'm going to say,
Please.
Bob Davidson, Lexington Avenue. Prior to me leaving as an administrator here in the town, I already had filed.
Is that on?
Yeah, it's on.
I already had filed through and using our auditor for the I-bank application, so that was in process. And I know that Dean, when he was the administrator here, he actually reported on that one night here, indicating the fact that they were going to proceed with the application. So my suggestion to you, quite frankly, is to get in touch with the auditor, see exactly where that where that is, that application, and how far did it go? Because again, that definitely is something you should definitely be looking at. I'm very happy to hear, quite frankly, that you are looking to move forward with the original project. I did look, although most of the nuts and bolts of your report I could not read. I had requested a copy of it. I received it, but most of it was blacked out. That really meant anything. But I did see indications in there in your reports where you needed to have an engineer go in and take further looks, in other words, with the wet well and so forth. So, so I think there's more to what's happening here, even with your project, because you don't have all the answers. Even now, you can't give us the answers because you didn't look at everything that really needs to be looked at. So, as far as that part's concerned, and it's right, that's what I could pick up out of the report. I actually would love to be able to see the full copy without all the blackouts, in all honesty. And the other thing, is that I don't understand is how, it seems like you put the cart before the horse here, because you have a resolution where you're going to move forward with this before they even did a presentation. I don't understand how that happened. You would think that there'd be a presentation about what they were looking to do, and then this is what's called a work session. And at the work session, you discuss this like you're doing it now. And then amongst yourselves, you decide how you want to move forward. But it looks like you already said what you already voted for it. Whether it be over the phone or whatever, because here it is. It's right here, without any discussion. And I don't understand that. But I don't want to get into the technicalities, only because of the fact that I'm glad to see that it looks like you're looking to move in the right direction. But I don't want you guys going back to what was happening here before with the other committees that were here and the public being left in the dark. So that's why the only reason why I'm bringing that up. But I can tell you, the other thing is that we did look, and the whole thing is, it's in the waterway, we know that. Okay, so we needed to move it out in order for us to apply for the brick grant. And if it stays where you want it, then the brick grant goes away. We can't use it because it has to be out of the flood zone. And instead of it just being a foot over 100-year flood, okay, we're going with the 500-year flood, okay? That was another one of the things that we had looked at. I was on this right from day one. So I'm sorry I'm getting a lot older, but the whole point of the matter is that I know it. And I know it very well. I may not have your education, but I got a good education dealing with this. And I only wish that somebody would have asked me some questions so I could really help you out.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Anybody else?
The first thing I want to say, Linda Boniface, 33 Parkland. The first thing I want to say is December 11th in Boston, a federal judge ruled that the president's stoppage of those grants were lacking the authority. The money was already appropriated by Congress, so that may turn. Let's hope for the midterms. Okay. The other thing about it, this project was delayed. I wanted it built in 18. It just got pushed off. They didn't want to bond. By the time we waited for this brick grant, the price went up $3 million. But I brought in years ago the Infrastructure Trust Bank. They just didn't want to do this project. They just didn't want to.
Who?
The Infrastructure Trust Bank. Who? The council at the time. I brought it up. You can get 0% loans out of there. 0.5%. They do help with getting stuff going. But what I want to say is this affects every single building in this town. Every single resident, every single business, everything. My opinion, and it's only my opinion, is that this could get built. And years ago, I was against bonds. I didn't really understand them until Bob Davidson explained them to me. Linda, if you go and pay something right away, that's the only residents that are going to pay for it, the ones that are here right now. When you bond, it's stretched out over 20 years. That house gets sold, the new owners are taking part of that bond and paying for it. I truly believe this needs to be done. It needs to be done tonight to put the resolution on and bond for the money. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Seeing or hearing no one, can I have a motion to close public comment?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chirinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Alrighty, any final questions to Jordan and Nick from Colliers? Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, up next, we have discussion on the lighting ordinance that's on the agenda for intro. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish standards for outdoor lighting throughout the township. The goal is to ensure that lighting provides safety and visibility while also reducing glare, light trespass, and unnecessary light pollution. Recently, a resident actually came before the Township Committee and raised concerns that lighting from a commercial property was shining directly into their home. And situations like that are exactly the type of issue this ordinance is intended to address. So this ordinance would require new or replacement outdoor lighting fixtures to be designed and installed so that light is directed downward and does not spill onto neighboring properties. It also promotes energy efficient lighting. And is there anything from the Township Committee on this item?
Yeah. Mayor, I'd like to just address our current lighting ordinance. I scanned over everything, and it's much simpler. It's not as detailed as the other one. But it does address a lot of the issues that we're speaking to in its simplest form. I just don't, no light, for example, no lighting source shall be visible from windows, streets, and driveways, nor shall lighting shine directly into or reflect into windows or onto streets and driveways to interfere with driver vision. We have this already here. I just want to know what's the difference if we cast a more detailed version of this, what's going to change?
So I think for me, it's an all-encompassing lighting ordinance. This is going to hold future builders accountable for the light fixtures that they put in place. And basically, that light, everything that you have right there is in this ordinance. So it's really just creating a more all-encompassing lighting ordinance that's going to promote better lighting efficiency for the future of this township.
I think, Mayor, also, with this, the goals of both ordinances, as Deputy Mayor Kowinski said, are pretty much the same. But this ordinance tells them how they have to do it, whereas the other ordinance did not. In terms of not having the spillage and not having the lights in the windows, as you said, it's specific as to the type of lighting you have to put in, whereas the other ordinance did not.
I think, my end of the discussion on this is I'm fine with passing a more stringent ordinance, but I think the problem is enforcement.
That's always
Absolutely.
the case. You can have all the ordinances
We
in the
can have
world.
all the codes we want, and without the enforcement and without the, we've passed things on when I was on the zoning board years ago, when we had approval for the zoning board, and we came up with the elaborate plan, the lights shall only be here, shall be here, and shall be here, and now we're getting complaints for those issues, but there's, we don't have the enforcement. I keep going back to that, and I keep, again, and there's a lot of people in the public that bring this up, and they say, well, make the codes tougher, we can write a book on this. It's not going to make a difference unless we have the enforcement in place somehow, some way, which leads back to, a way to make that better.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to be a great responsibility of our new township administrator and as well as our building department, and also stiffening up some of our fees that we have already. I think that that's super significant, and we're going to bring that to a future meeting. Anybody else?
I don't see any fines that are in the ordinance, unless I'm not seeing them. I don't see any fines associated with.
The lighting ordinance?
Yeah.
So I spoke about this with Mr. Scatino. We need to update all of our fines, and we're going to do that at a future meeting.
Okay.
Because that's going to be very relevant to also our next subject as well.
Got it. Thanks.
Anybody else?
To that point, Mayor, I think a lot of those fines that you're speaking of get reviewed once a year by the construction official, and the zoning department, and they upgrade those and offer those to us as recommendations. Right. Well, again,
I think they need to be updated.
Yeah.
we're mostly outdated.
Extremely.
Yeah.
We just passed that a little while ago, where we recommended.
I think that may have been for application fees. I don't know if it was for
This
fines.
is an upgrade of what we have.
So that's right.
We have to look at that.
Yeah,
It pertains to.
absolutely. All right, anything else on lighting? Wonderful. All right, our next item is short-term property rental. ordinance. So as many residents know, there was a tragic home invasion at a rental property in town recently. And because this remains an active investigation, there are limited details that can be shared publicly at this time. However, we want residents to know that we are taking this matter seriously and reviewing where additional safeguards can be appropriate. And for context, Rochelle Park's current ordinance requires that rentals be for a minimum of 30 days, meaning homes cannot legally be rented for shorter periods than that. Following this incident, I spoke with Chief Pinto. The police department has been reviewing our current ordinance and procedures, and the chief also informed me that the police department is coordinating with our zoning office, code enforcement officials, and the fire official regarding rental properties and the sharing of information relating to occupants and applications. But as part of that review, there is an ordinance on tonight's agenda that would increase the minimum rental period from 30 days to 6 months to provide greater stability for our neighborhoods. And I'd also like to begin an official ad hoc committee called Rental Property Advisory with the goal of holding a meeting in possibly April that includes members of the police, building department, township committee, and residents to further review this issue. But anything from the township committee on this?
Yes, if you look at the line where it says, for a period of 6 months or less. So which one is that? Is it a maximum of 6 months or less than 6 months?
It should be a minimum of 6
But why
months.
does it say less here? Is that a misprint, or I just want to make sure we're not...
Thank you for catching that. Let's take a look.
So if you look at it, it says 6 months or less. So I want to make clear before we
Yeah, no.
vote on it. You could have just said, could be a misprint on it. For a period of 6 months. It says...
Doesn't say, what does it say, for not less than, or?
It says or 6 months or less.
It's over here. So I define here within for a period of 6 months or less. I don't know.
It shall be unlawful for only 2 days for 6 months or less, so it can only be 6 months.
So should we clarify that?
Well, if you think, it does mean the same thing, but if you think it's clear to say it differently, you can, but it is, there has to be, it can't be less than 6 months, the way this reads. But if it's a little confusing, maybe we should change it.
We should probably clarify that, in my opinion, so it's 6 months.
To make it less than 6 months.
No, anything with less, because people look at it and say, well, I could do
Yeah,
less, right?
just
So
put
let's get that out
For a
there.
period of not less than,
Right,
For a period of not less than 6
not
months.
less than 6 months, right?
double negative.
Right.
Shall be unlawful.
Just want to point that out, so we can
Wow.
clarify that, so we're doing not less than 6 months.
that's why you're here.
That's right. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
I think also it may be a better question for your ad hoc meeting, but usually when a renter initially signs a lease to a landlord, it's usually it's an initial 1-year lease,
Right.
and sometimes they go month to month after.
Yes.
So you may want to think about possibly incorporating that when you think about your,
No, that's actually a very good point. Some people don't even give a lease.
you just on it from now, have that initial 1-year lease, and then you're.
Right, that's a very good point, because then if someone
Can
enters...
you repeat that?
Well, because if a landlord says, I don't want to give you a lease, you're a month-to-month tenant, is that a violation of the ordinance? Probably.
Yeah, because you're not getting a lease on it.
Yeah, it has to
Which
be
is probably
a
why
minimum of
originally it was
6
30,
months.
it was 30 days.
Well, it'll default to a month-to-month. Leases can default month-to-month after the year.
Right, but I'm saying, but even initially, a landlord may not want to give them personal lease. They may just say, okay, I'm gonna rent you this, but you're gonna be on a month-to-month tenancy until I see what type of tenant you're gonna be. It can happen.
So what kind of clarification do you want on that?
I think that's why probably when the ordinance was initially done, it was done 30 days to cover the situation where someone could be on a tenancy for a month to month.
I know there's members, former members of the governing body that were on when this was passed, but I think, we can open this up to public, but I think that the 30 days came around the period of when Airbnb first started. And it was basically to have some parameters that if you do Airbnb in Rochelle Park, you can only rent it out for 30 days minimum, so that there wasn't the week-to-week, the weekends. So I think that that was the whole point of that 30-day. I don't think it was necessarily tied to the point that Sean made, but it is still a good point that probably requires clarification.
Clarification, I think I'm going to have to see if we're allowed, because statutes allow you to create month-to-month tendencies. This does not. So I think you're going to have to table this for a while.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you want one?
No.
Well, I don't know if you're allowed to prohibit it, since statutes allow you to rent on a month-to-month.
And we also.
Can't we put in here language that prohibits them from using Airbnbs and those type of
Yeah,
entities?
could we just make
We
it
can
more
do, we can
specific?
do something like that and put that language in here.
We would have to then.
Amend it to say no Airbnbs.
Does the ordinance, the existing ordinance define what an Airbnb is?
I don't think so. I think it just focused on short-term
Yeah.
rentals.
So we're going to have to work on this.
Okay.
We can't resolve this
Okay.
now.
So.
Other than me now hearing everybody's comments and seeing how we can address it.
But also, I understand there is a permit that's required for this, for the Airbnbs or whatever. I think that the fees on that should be also looked at.
Yep.
And that should also be part of this, where, more information is so we know what's going on in the aspect of who's renting it, how long you're renting it for, what's the cost of it, because I understand, we have the people coming in, and, they want to rent everything. A lot of people want to look for stuff, but I think that needs to be put in here too, as far as, the, permit fees on it too.
I think the fines have to be, like I said, cascading fines. First offense, 1,
Yeah.
second offense,
And the fines.
third offense.
Yep.
And
So we
because
could
we're
possibly
having repeat
update that
offenders.
with this ordinance as well.
We'll check with the municipal court, because actually another town wanted to do something similar to that, and they said it's very hard for the court to keep track on these type of offenses. But
Well, your building
This-
department, no, would have to keep track of that?
I don't know, just make sure someone can keep track of whether it's a first or second offense.
I know folks from the public want to speak up, so do I have a motion to open up the public?
Motion. I'll make a
In
motion.
regards to this subject on short-term rentals?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Committee Woman Peachy?
yes.
Committee Woman Judge Capello?
Yes.
Committee Man Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwanski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right. Come on down.
Hi, Michael Warren, 181 West Elder Street. I was on the Township Committee when we passed the initial ban. We passed the initial ban because there were many, many properties in Rochelle Park that were renting out single rooms, illegal basement apartments, illegal garage apartments. If you went on Airbnb back then, you put it in Rochelle Park, there was a ton of properties. Jen, I agree, yes, we should be able to keep track of who's renting. We can't do that in this town for some reason. For years, I asked for them to come up with a registry. Because when you sign an actual lease, you're not signing a lease with Airbnb, right? You're borrowing the property, basically. You can't go to a school and go, I live here and I'm Airbnb-ing it. Here's my paperwork. You need all those forms to register your child for school. You need, a lease, a PSE&G bill, none of which you would have if you're Airbnb. The town has to get a grip on the rental properties here. We have a lot of homes that are for rent. We talked to Kathy, the tax collector. She could tell you that there are people who, again, even generational homes, right? Older folks who live here who can't do their paperwork, their families live someplace else. That's a separate issue. But we do have people who rent, who never come around, who live in a completely different state, let's just say they're not upkeeping the rental property in a fashion that we would like them to see. But I think we should just not do Airbnb. I'm not a fan of doing Airbnb unless you're going to a resort town. That's something else. We're not a resort town. We're very close to New York City. I'm concerned about the people who want to rent Airbnbs. I just think a permanent ban is better, but that's your decision. The initial reason was to prevent people from renting out a single room, a garage, basement, etc. Lots of issues with fire code with that. But secondly, yes, a registry for rental properties in this town would be helpful for the police, for really anybody. Any questions or thoughts from what happened in I think we did it in 2018, I can't remember what year it was,
Yeah.
but
So I think that that's the importance of this ad hoc committee, because I want to just bring all the stakeholders involved to build this registry, because I too, when I first came onto the township committee, I found out that we didn't have a list of all the rental properties in town, which, you know.
there have been attempts, but they've all fallen flat. We just didn't have the capacity to do it through the building department. Not for anyone's fault, but we just don't have that type of capacity to track down, which would take time, a significant amount of time.
And the goal of the ordinance that when you were on was to address Airbnbs.
Yes, exclusively, yes.
But do you know, like, was there any reason to not explicitly say Airbnb?
Well, we decided short-term rental was a more of an umbrella term.
Right.
Because at the time, there was Verbo, there were other companies that did it, so if we just put Airbnb in there, well, then the loophole is, well, I rented mine on Verbo and this one. So the short-term rental was to keep people from being able to rent out their homes for a short amount of time. And like you said earlier, Mayor, you know, the stability of the neighborhood. People like to know who's on their block, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but the short-term rentals do not allow for that. And if the Township Committee is trying to tighten things up with code enforcement or whatever, you've got people moving in town who don't know, who won't learn the rules of living in town, meaning the ordinances, et cetera. They don't want to integrate with the rest of the town, which I think hurts the town overall. Again, if the homeowners were actually here, in my experience investigating this, just looking at things, we have, and especially through the Shade Tree Commission, we have a lot of property owners who don't live anywhere near here. And that to me is a concern, and that's why I'm not a fan of the Airbnb. In fact, I stopped using Airbnb personally. I just found it to be a ridiculous system, but that's my own personal opinion on Airbnb.
Ma'am?
Yes, please.
Michael, when you did this back then, did you, you put in permits?
Now, I want to make sure we're clear. I don't remember word for word what we said, you know, almost 10 years ago, but what is it that the wording is?
You know, permits for this. Now, from what I understand, they come in, they fill out a card, they say this is the address and here's, you know, whatever, dollar figure, whatever. And I understand what you're saying, it's hard to track, right? Because
well,
every weeks or a week.
Typically, when someone gets an apartment here or a house, the town knows, right? There's a proper lease. It's public knowledge, right? You can look up that lease. On Airbnb, it's a private company. I don't know. Like, you know, they have their own set of rules. They have their own set of regulations that we know nothing about. And those things can change, and we wouldn't know it. And again, like, if you're using Airbnb as an address to live here, I really don't think that you could register a child for school or use that as a record for voting to say that you live here, because you don't really live there. You're borrowing it, essentially, you know, for a fee.
And that's what I think is beneficial about the 6-month time frame is, like, it would be very challenging and unique for someone to Airbnb a place for 6 months. I'm sure you don't necessarily see that.
I don't think you do, but yeah, I mean, listen, we can't say everything is 100% preventable, but yeah, I think if I was looking for an Airbnb and I need a temporary stay, 6 months would probably be a turnoff for me. So,
Maybe in another country.
What's that?
I said maybe in another country they would do it.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, I think it would be a turnoff, especially if what we're seeing here, and the police would probably have more information for you, is, you know, how many short-term rentals, 30 days, 45 days that they're seeing in their, you know, their day-to-day job. They're traveling around town, et cetera. But, yeah, I just don't think it adds to the fabric of our community. I really don't think it does.
We definitely agree. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bob Davidson, Lexington Avenue. We just did a thing for the taxes, the revow. I would think that a lot of that information should be there.
That's only if they open the door.
Well, that's all well and good, but at least you have some kind of a clue what you're looking for.
Right.
Okay? So if you take a look at your revow, and see how many homes are actually listed, you should be able to actually know what address it really is. And there you can start your registration right off of that.
But Mr. Davidson, wouldn't the landlord just be paying taxes on the home and then the renters wouldn't be recorded in that information?
Either way, when they physically look, okay, and I understand what you're saying, because it could be a two-family or whatever the case might be, but at least you have something. Right now, you have nothing.
Right, yeah, no, 100%,
Okay.
it's gotta be.
The other aspect of it is with the Airbnb, back when Michael was talking about this, they were doing night to night.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, quite honestly, I have to say, Rochelle Park is not the same Rochelle Park that I grew up in, and nor do we, you know, I mean, things move on, whether we like it or not. But the whole point of the matter is that I have neighbors, as an example, that play music loud until 4 o'clock in the morning, and that seems to be okay. It's not okay. So why in the world would we want to invite these people in? I say get rid of it. Don't deal with it. It's not, why give yourself another headache? That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Anybody else? All right.
Well, Mr. Davidson is correct. Two things. One is that there is a lot of information that's very easy to see from the new tax records or whatever. If you can handle comma-separated value files, I can do it. I'm not going to do it anymore because it takes a little work. And I've done them on my own, and then no one knows that. But if you can handle comma-separated value files, you can get a heck of a lot of information all in one place, right before your very eyes. The second thing is, I'm not sure how many feet I live away from Mr. Davidson, but it's got to be at least 500 or 600, and that music is loud at 4 in the morning. I hear it in my house. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I hope that, you know.
understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I hope.
Next door to it. I'm like 600 feet away, and I heard it myself.
Right. I don't have the details on these occurrences, but I hope that you both have reached out to the police department and made the complaints.
I just thought I'd validate his comment. It wasn't my fault, it was anyway.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? All right, can I get a question? Let's close and then let's chat.
No question for the public.
Oh, go for it.
I have a question for the last two speakers. When you're speaking about this loud music, do we have complaints on record about that music?
Yes.
We do. And nothing's changed.
I don't complain because it's not quite as bad.
You don't complain?
I literally, in my house, I have to shut the doors in the rooms so I can cut the noise down. And they're in the house. It's not like this is like everything outside. It's amazing. They're going to use it. Well, that is.
Yeah. We'll have to follow up with our police department to see what the history is and what actions have been taken. Thank you. Can I get a motion to close public comment?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Rajagopal?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chewinski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Mr. Scatino, my question is, if we repeal short-term rentals altogether, how does that impact renters that have month-to-month leases?
Well, if you don't have any prohibition about a time limit, they would have no impact, and they would be permitted to do so.
Right.
I think that the issue that, again, why probably towns don't ban it altogether or went to the 30-day was probably to address the month-to-month tenant. And then secondly, because they probably, and I'll verify this, but they probably are prohibited from telling the property owner they can't rent their house to somebody for a specific period of time, because that's basically what you're doing. You're telling the property owner, even though you own this property, you can't rent it for 2 months, or you can't rent it for 1 month.
Could you possibly, I'm sorry, like furnished apartments, could you possibly not rent furnished apartments? Could you kind of word it like that? No?
Couldn't we just specify that if it's residential rentals, then they can, but if it's for something like an Airbnb or a Vrbo, one of these websites, and we specify that, that's not allowed. It's a 6-month rental. So it's a differentiation of the two.
Yeah.
Business versus
Right.
private.
Well,
If
no,
a
but
private, like a
any
rent, if you're
apartment is
renting
considered as a
monthly.
residential use.
Landlord's also
Look, like
protected.
an Airbnb is not a residential
On
use. That's
Airbnb.
Like a,
I think-
No, an Airbnb is a residential use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
That's
think
residential use.
I think you're gonna point to the who owns the property, right? Or a business entity owns it, or?
That wouldn't matter, a business entity, as long as it's, the zoning and the restrictions are categorized the property as a residential, doesn't matter who owns the property, it's what the property is used for.
So I think Mr. Miller, maybe we should clarify, maybe to the public that doesn't know that this is a concern because of an incident, I don't know.
Already did.
Oh, you did,
Yeah,
okay,
that's-
yeah, because, unfortunately, this has happened, and it's not the first time,
Rental
right? So we're gonna have to figure out something, are we then just gonna remove this?
So, yeah, I'm gonna ask, is there a motion to table, ordinance number 1264-26, amendment of chapter 150A, property rental?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right. Thank you. We will revisit that at the next meeting. All right, moving right along, America's 250th anniversary event. Committeewoman Apici and Committeeman Smith, please give us an update where we are with America 250.
Jen, if you have something to add, but I will say our next meeting is going to be March 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. I think the last meeting was very productive. Definitely need more volunteers. There will be something published in our town tomorrow, looking for volunteers for America 250. So if you could be at the next meeting, that would be great. I don't know what we want to get into.
I think we need to talk about a budget.
Yes.
And we need to, like a realistic budget.
Realistic
from the
sponsors.
Yeah,
And then
so,
with addition to we're gonna look for sponsors, but we're gonna have to do some sort of small budget for this.
right, can you briefly share with the public basically what the itinerary is for America 250?
Yeah, I think we've done a very broad kind of weekend planned. July 3rd, July 4th, and July 5th would be the weekend. July 3rd would entail, and at this point, nothing's written in stone yet, fireworks at Saddlebrook Park.
Which is Saddlebrook doing it.
Saddlebrook doing it, yes. And an ice cream, with ice cream.
Yes, that we would like to sponsor, that is the ice cream.
Day 2, American Legion at the Promenade on the 4th. We're thinking about food, drinks, that's still up for grabs, trying to figure out how we're going to put, and as far as visiting some historic sites in Rochelle Park, having a little tour, talking about specific sites in Rochelle Park through the years. And Sunday, possibly breakfast at Carlock. Yeah, that's right. I have a whole weekend planned. So get some sleep.
With a softball game.
With a softball game.
We were talking about T-shirts, making up T-shirts for
Yeah.
residents, something.
That's the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. The 5th being the Sunday. Yeah.
So
That's what breakfast is
So
for,
the fourth,
Ron.
what we were talking about with the Legion is, because it's open to the public, the Legion would have to take out a permit from the state for alcohol. We would be paying, they told us just charging us $150 for a cleanup fee only. They would pay, the money they bring in from alcohol would kind of pay for itself if we didn't give a small donation to the Legion. But in speaking to the commander, he's thinking if they charge for the alcohol, and we sponsor the food, or we get a business to sponsor food, it kind of offsets them, and they wouldn't charge us, so we don't have to charge anybody for anything.
All right, so what sort of budget do you think is necessary for America 250?
Realistically, between 5 and 7. looking at how we've done records 5 and 7, between 5 and 7, because we could sponsor the rest. I'm thinking,
1,000?
yes. Because if you look at a Rochelle Park Day and what we spend on a Rochelle Park Day, that's all the stuff that we don't need. There's a lot of stuff you can cut out of that, right? We're looking at, there was talks of DJs and bands. Sean and I were talking about local bands, Mr. Chewinski's band.
Yeah.
Your name came up, I'm sorry. So you're going to be singing. So that way we don't have to pay, we keep it in town with people from in town who have this stuff instead of paying for these services. It brings the residents out to kind of give to the event, right? It entices people to come out. So it's less.
Go ahead.
And the public's going to have the opportunity to weigh in. The American Legion is cooperating. They're willing to host. So we should definitely start advertising soon.
Yeah.
ASAP, so that people do know that this is coming. But I think the budget, obviously, as we know, is going to be tight this year. So I guess with a goal of $5,000 for America 250, that all sounds good with everybody?
Yeah.
A goal, if the budget works out, and then
I know sponsorships.
would fulfill the rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe we have a celebratory line item that you could look at also, that might be able to be looked
But I
into.
think that goes towards the parade, doesn't it?
Doesn't have to be. You can use it for other things. I know it was used for, some of the basic stuff at the middle and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. So we have a budget for that, celebratory grant, that's funding for the budget. I'm not quite sure what's left in it right now.
Because I know that puts the
Usually-
flags, we use that for the
Well, we take
flags.
the flags up and down also
With
with
that.
that, but we did use, not last year, we didn't use any for the decorations that were at the school. We didn't
No.
use it for that, so I have to look at, I know we have it, but I don't know if you can use that. Well, that's a Roy question.
So I had
to
asked
say.
Roy to open a trust for this, just this, and that whatever money we get sponsorships would go into this
The sponsorship.
for sponsorships, and
Right.
and whatever budget we put would go into that, and then whatever we don't use, we decide, I'm sorry, we put it back into general funds, or we keep it there for another event. But at least it's separate from any other line items,
It would have to be if you're gonna. do
because you
that.
don't want to, yeah, right, you don't want to touch anything that's going to affect something else, like the flags or the parade
Right,
or anything like, we want it to be separate.
yeah.
We don't want to put it on recreation and then they have to do,
I do,
Right.
because you have the sponsorship. it would
right, you have to do a
different line item.
separate line
Right.
item.
All right, so, Jan and
Oh.
Sean, you can.
And one more thing we were thinking about doing, I forgot to mention this, as far as bringing in sponsorships, we're thinking about doing a scavenger hunt involving this, local businesses in town, where we would,
Okay.
2-3 weeks before the event.
So that's an ongoing.
Yeah. So we
All right.
we threw everything up against the wall, seeing, what was going to stick. It was a really productive meeting.
So, why don't you both touch base with, Mr. Duddy, and then, let's, get a flyer up on town socials to tell the public that this July 4th weekend is happening.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Anything else? All right. Thank you all. All right, moving right along to correspondence. Miss Gina Kim, will you please read the correspondence into the record?
Yes. This was a request that I received from Chief Pinto. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to the Rochelle Park Police Foundation. We'll just read it. American Legion Certificate of Appreciation is gratefully presented to the Rochelle Park Police Foundation in recognition and sincere appreciation of outstanding service and assistance which contributed to the advancement of the American Legion programs and activities dedicated to God and Country Boys State program presented by American Legion Post 170.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, and congratulations to the Rochelle Park Police Department. All right. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the following meetings? Closed session, February 11th, 2026. Work session, February 11th. Closed session, February 18th. And public session, February 18th. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman George Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chewinski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right. Approval of the agenda. Before we approve the agenda, can I have a motion to add the following resolution to the consent agenda? It's Resolution 26-104, authorizing the township clerk to advertise for requests for qualifications for the position of financial advisor to serve as a third party to review the township's bond issuance. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Don't we have to take off the one ordinance?
You already did that.
We already.
You already voted to
Okay,
table it.
good. I just want to make sure that that agenda's not on this.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Now can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you so much. At this time, I'll pass over to Administrator Samantha Carpio.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to begin by saying that I'm honored to have been selected to serve as the Township Administrator for the Township of Rochelle Park. I appreciate the confidence that you have placed in me to help lead the day-to-day operations of the Township and support the vision of the governing body. During my first few weeks, my primary focus has been learning the operations of the municipality, meeting with staff, and beginning to move forward to several key initiatives. To assist with my transition into the role, I had the opportunity to tour the township with Chief Pinto and Superintendent Brown. During this time, we visited several key locations such as Mathis Field and Carlock Field, with the renovations to the field house coming along nicely. I also had the opportunity to visit the pump station and other areas throughout Rochelle Park, which provided valuable insight to the community, public safety considerations, and municipal operations. One of our first major initiatives undertaken was the successful submission of a federal funding request to Congresswoman Nellie Poe's office in the amount of $5 million for the township's pump station project. While we were unsure at this time whether we're going to get the full amount of the award, we will be continuing our efforts and submitting similar funding requests to Senator Booker's office as well as Senator Kim's offices to be submitted by the end of the month. As a part of establishing relationships at the county level, I had visited several Bergen County facilities, including a tour of the Public Safety Operations Center. These visits are helpful in strengthening the intergovernment relationships and exploring potential resources available to our township. In addition, I recently met with staff from EvoGov to discuss the preliminary draft design of a new and improved township website. The goal of this effort is to enhance accessibility, improve communication with residents, and modernize the township's online presence. Once the preliminary draft is finalized, it will be forwarded to the mayor and committee for review, feedback, and direction. Lastly, I would like to thank the township staff for their support and assistance during my transition into this role. Their cooperation, willingness to help has been invaluable. I look forward to continue to work with them as well as the mayor and committee to provide the highest level of service to the residents of Rochelle Park. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? Wonderful. Clerk, any reports?
No report at this time. However, I'm sure the DPW liaison will say this. I just want to thank our DPW for doing such a fantastic job in plowing Rochelle Park. We were looking forward to another snow day, but Dave and his crew did such a great job. We all had to report to work, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Dave, and DPW. Attorney report.
Yes, just a few updates on the litigation that the township is involved in, primarily with Tolfer. First, the lawsuit that Tolfer has filed against the with various entities and individuals in the township regarding their redevelopment plan and other issues that they've raised. That matter was being handled by Giacobi's law firm, was transferred at our request to federal court because it was felt that the complaint raised federal issues. And secondly, a motion to dismiss has been filed by the attorney representing the township, and hopefully sometime down the road, it will be probably a few months before any type of decision is made, but hopefully, some aspects, if not the entire complaint, will be dismissed. As to the violation with respect to the parking, the commercial parking in the residential zone, that matter, I believe, as everyone knows, is before Saddlebrook. There was a case management conference, and the matter was adjourned for 60 days at the request of the judge to see if there could be any resolution of the matter, which appears to be unlikely that it can be resolved without a court determination. The other matter with Tulfer involving the township's lawsuit against Tulfer is continuing to proceed, and it is anticipated that we, the township, will be filing a motion for summary judgment on several of the issues involving what we contend is Tulfer's violation of the redevelopment agreement. And some good news on the affordable housing litigation that's being handled by John Shadanian, Bill Rupp, and our planner, Joe Burgess. At this stage, we have a determination that the density being sought, both by Fair Share Housing and a couple of developers who filed a lawsuit, was significantly reduced and accepted by the judge who is handling it at this point. At this point in time, it's a judge who's retired and a special master, actually a special adjudicator they call them, which is a planner that's appointed by the court. So they reviewed the plans that were submitted by Fair Share Housing as well as by the developers, and they reviewed the plan that was submitted by the township. And for the most part, 95% of the township's plan was accepted by the retired judge. Now, it's not over. That's the initial step, but it puts us in a very strong position moving forward. Next, it can go to, or will go to, a judge in Superior Court, and I believe that judge is Judge Padavano. But again, it puts us in a much stronger position than if, at this phase, they agreed with Fair Share Housing and the developers, because it would have resulted in a much higher density than what the township proposed.
Thank you so much, John. All right, it's time for public comments. Oh, no, it's time for new business. Under new business tonight, we have the appointment of Robert F. Davies as alternate number 3 to the Land Use Board. Congratulations, Mr. Davies. Now it's time for public
I have
comment.
I have one thing for new business.
Oh, yeah, please, go ahead.
In the last meeting, we had the man from Ridgewood here
Mhm.
and the resident about the county park. I did speak to the county. They are going out to Saddlebrook County Park, and they will be cleaning up all the broken all the dead trees. Everything will be removed. Now that the weather is better, he emailed me this morning. Everything is, so the park will be cleaned up. They're going to address it.
That's great news. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else for new business? All right. May I have a motion to open up to public comments?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Committeewoman Judge Carvello.
Yes.
To open to public?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, we were talking.
Committeeman Smith? Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chewinski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right, public comments now open. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes, and each person will have 1 speaking opportunity.
Hi again, Michael Warren, 181 West Oldest, Jen. I'll believe it when I see it. I hope they do. We've heard it many times before that they're going to clean up that, is this on? Is this thing on? That park, and I hope that they do. But I'm pretty loud anyway. I want to talk about the lighting ordinance. I'm the chairperson of the Land Use Board, and we looked at a similar ordinance that Saddlebrook is using. I liked the ordinance from Saddlebrook. A lot of it looked lengthy, but ours is only seven short paragraphs. I liked it because it provided resident-friendly terms. The terminology used explained to residents what different words meant, like lumens or the number scale of lights from
Foot candles.
white to warm orange.
No.
We also have to remember that we see more and more homes using blinking lights, permanent lights. Trees are being wrapped in lights. I thought while Mr. Trinsky did have a point that perhaps the language we have currently addresses those things, I think the vagueness of it allows for a lot of loopholes, a lot of ways for people to skirt around or claim ignorance. I also did some checking. I know that when the Land Use Board has applicants before them, they are still required to submit their site plan with the lighting, et cetera, that the Land Use Board does have jurisdiction over when it comes to placement, et cetera. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware that the one that I saw in Southbrook, I don't know what the ones you guys are looking at now.
No, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you, but that is basically, not basically, that is the South.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are adopting the South.
What a coincidence.
Well, just so you know, because I am in Southbrook, that ordinance was worked on for several months.
Yes.
And there was a resident from the public who had some expertise in this,
Correct.
who really spent.
The dark skies guy.
He comes to all the meetings, but I forget his name. But in any event,
I come to the meetings here too.
you I remember.
Yeah.
But he spent a lot of time on this and volunteered all his expertise. So that ordinance was, not to say it's perfect, but it was thoroughly vetted.
Yes.
And that ordinance is the Southbrook ordinance. That
Oh, okay. Speaking of that gentleman, one of the members of the Environmental Commission is in contact with him. We're probably going to have him do a seminar on light pollution, which is a big deal for this gentleman, and really maybe for Rochelle Park residents who are concerned about not being able to see the night sky. And I think we all have an experience where a neighbor puts in a new light and it's right in your living room. So, please consider that. And of course, you guys can change anything you like. But I know there was a concern on the land use end about the land use board not being able to flex their muscle, essentially. But you still can. And Mr. Scatino can correct me if I'm wrong for that. So I'm glad you guys are looking into that. I do have a question about master plan. Did the Township Committee send out, RFP or RFQ for bids on the master plan?
Yes, we did. It's currently on our website. Anyone's welcome to go check that out, and it is collecting resumes for until the end of the month, March 31st.
Okay. When do you think the land use board will have any indication of where you guys want to go with that? I mean, have we gotten people that have submitted already or not yet?
One submission.
Okay.
We got one.
Better than zero. All right. I appreciate that. So hopefully
some guidance by the April land use.
Okay. Fantastic. Just want to welcome Samantha. I just had the opportunity the other day to come in. I had to sign a letter for that Nellie Poe money for the Environmental Commission. I got just to chat briefly, so welcome. And it was a pleasure meeting you. And I'll see you Saturday for that Green Ridgewood meeting that the gentleman David was here. I'll be there. French Sam is going. So we'll be there. He's French. Hopefully Samantha will report back to you guys everything that happens at that meeting. And I think that's it for me for now. So I appreciate your time and have a great evening.
Thanks so much.
Speaking of that meeting, I did speak to Mayor Luna and Lodi. He is willing to come to that meeting and to bring the county. When they're ready to do that, they will come.
Wonderful. Thank you.
What's the movie? If you invite them, they will come.
That's pretty much what he told me.
I have a quick question, and I don't know if the attorney, because you worked on it with Saddlebrook also. When I was looking over your prohibited lighting part, the following things shall be prohibited, and it includes blinking, flashing, rotating, etc. lights, and any light, all those stop signs we have now that blink, would that fall under blinking light? Because I will be honest, I mean, I understand why they blink, but there's times you're driving, look, if you're going up Chestnut and you see the one in the end, it's like right now.
Safety. Home or commercial. Safety lighting fixtures.
Well, it doesn't say that, though. That's what I'm saying. It just says blinking, flashing, rotating, strobe, or searchlights.
But does that apply to the list that is of home and commercial lighting?
It just says the following shall be prohibited.
There's no provision for safety, though?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking. It just says the following types of lights shall be prohibited. And it might be somewhere else in here, I just didn't see it. I don't know. It says traffic control, but that's, red with lights, traffic lights.
No, those stop signs with blinking lights are traffic control.
Oh, okay, so maybe, any light that be confused with or construed as a traffic control device is under your types of prohibited lights. It's section F, which is prohibited. It could be somewhere else, I just didn't see it.
While the attorney's looking that over, anything else?
I just want to also mention, Jen, I know you've been talking to Dennis a lot, and I understand why you guys want sponsors for July 4th, but I would keep talking to him because as someone on the parade committee, we're also hitting probably the same types of people to sponsor the parade. And since you're talking, month and a half separation, we're going to be hitting the same people. And I know, like the bands and stuff that we usually get in the parades are very expensive.
Oh, no, we were talking about local bands.
I know, but you talked the $5,000 or $10,000 budget,
Oh, yeah.
which is what the parades, pretty much, that's what they spend. So I just don't want the same people, when you go for sponsors,
Right.
we're only a small town and we only have so many people to ask. But since you're talking to Dennis, I'm sure that'll,
Yeah, we'll work all that out then.
yeah.
Agreed.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
So, it does look like there is an exception category
Oh, okay.
of the ordinance. It's section C1. And lighting within the public right-of-way, is one of those exceptions.
So that means anything that's a traffic light, I guess? Is that what that means?
Yeah,
I would-
well, I mean, like, all signs are in with the public right of way. So, I mean, you can't put a blinking municipal line in the middle of somebody's front lawn. So all signs that the municipality puts up are within the public right of way. They can't be put anyplace else.
Oh, I understand that. I just was concerned that it pretty much sounds like you can't have any of these blinking lights, and then,
Well, no,
I do.
well, there's a general prohibition, and then as the mayor just pointed out, there's exceptions, and that's one of the exceptions, the example that you asked for.
so it's C what? Oh, C1, you said?
C1, yeah.
Under applicability.
This just says to illuminate it. It doesn't say anything about blinking. I'm just concerned that down the road.
But it wouldn't.
No, they're exempt from all the requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, all lighting within the public right-of-way, exempt.
Okay, doke. Thank you.
Thanks so much. What's coming up next?
Walter Houghton, 117 West Alder Street. Being a lifelong resident of Rochelle Park, I've seen this township change tremendously, and not necessarily for the better. There are a lot of renters in this town, and that causes a lot of problems. With this last snowstorm, I don't know who's responsible for the ADA compliant sidewalks, if it's the homeowners or the township, but a lot of those were not cut out. So someone with a disability would have to go out someone's driveway, around a huge pile of snow, back up someone's driveway. You're opening up yourself to a lot of liability on that. Also, there are a lot of homeowners that aren't shoveling the entire sidewalk. They're doing a little pathway, which is not allowing anybody with a disability room to pass. So again, I don't know if it's the DPW's job, town's responsibility, but you need to be mindful of that, because if someone trips and falls, I don't know who's gonna fall. It's homeowner, the township.
No, I appreciate what you're bringing to us right now, and I do know that code enforcement did issue a lot of summons regarding snow.
Yes, this last one was a little more
Right.
difficult because it was a blizzard.
Right,
But my mother's 86 and can get out there with the help of our neighbors and do it.
absolutely.
There's no reason nobody else can do it.
Yep, there's no excuse for that. So, Mr. Twinski, at the next meeting for your building department reports, Could you also bring up details regarding all the summons that were issued regarding snow removal? And that will give us a good context as to if accountability was shared from that storm.
Also, you did, for a while, it was working, but the sound system,
It's not working anymore?
so, again, please be mindful. You now have an ADA, or after tonight, you'll have an ADA compliance officer. I'm gonna make sure that she's working to get this place compliant.
Thank you so much, Walter.
Mayor, for the record, I texted from the sound system, who's gonna come look at it this week.
Wonderful. Walter, just to reiterate what Michaela said, it sounds like our sound tech will be visiting the municipal building within the next week to fix that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Yeah, please take a seat.
I'm on borrowed time. First of all, as far as the comma separated values, if you need any help with it,
Folks, I'm so sorry, Mr. David. I can't hear him. If we can keep the volume down from the public, I so appreciate your cooperation. Thanks so
I
much.
could try to talk louder. Dave Kingman, Madison Ave. As far as the comma separated value or any other Excel thing, I can help you with it, I will. It's just that it's been a long time since anybody's asked for my geek help. And so I kind of moved away from that, but I could move back to it. But if the township would like me to show someone in the township how to do it, that might be the best way. It doesn't take long to show, and it might be productive. But you know, you folks know how to get in touch with me, and if not, I'll make sure you do. Will there be any further discussion on which one is it? The fair share housing thing?
Not tonight.
Not tonight? Okay. I'll save it for another time at another venue, whatever. Actually, I have a concern, and it's a tangle of concern. Okay? I don't always get here that often, and sometimes things get tangled in. And the primary focus is the bottleneck, the Route 17 bottleneck project that they're talking about, and how it affects some of the residents who will be near it. And what really brought it to mind was that now we're getting signs of spring. The street sweeper came through, did a beautiful job, by the way, DPWI. They're the best. But also people are walking their dogs more and all. And I live about 200 feet or so away from High Street. And so I was talking to a neighbor from High Street, and I said, do you ever give any thought to the Route 17 bottleneck? He says, you know, I got a notice in the mail from the state of New Jersey that says they want to inspect my house because of the expansion for Route 17. And the first thing that came to my mind is, who can I call in the town to say, is he the only one getting this kind of a notice? Because I didn't get a notice like that. Instead, I got a notice that they want to survey my property, state of New Jersey, with respect to bottleneck Route 17. Now, like I say, I'm 200 feet away from, more than 200 feet away from the right-of-way of High Street. But that's where the tangle comes in. You know, we've never really, the plans that I've been seeing since like, maybe what was it, 2016 or whatever, they always show one place that, in my mind, I've always said, these plans say, we don't know what to do with this. Now all of a sudden, I've got two people with surveys, and the person I talked to said, somebody else on High Street got this. And so what I did is, when I got back inside, I took a look. I went on the town website. And websites are funny because sometimes things are here and then they're gone and then they're back or whatever. And the map of the plans are no longer there, or I couldn't find them on our website. And I'm good at finding stuff on the internet. But there's a much better map in other places. And I looked through, and sure, and you got to really, it's so small on there and whatever. You need 2 pairs of glasses and a magnifying glass to really see what's on it. But I'm good with maps. And no matter how many times I look at it, I see they don't know what to do with that. But somehow, does this result in an eminent domain and just compensation for certain houses on High Street? Now, I think most of us are aware where High Street is. There's some newcomers to the town and to the board. Welcome aboard, Miss Samantha, and whatever. High Street runs between Essex Street and Grove Avenue. It runs, anyone who's ever gone to the Carlock Field to a baseball game, they'll go through, down Lexington. Do I have to go?
If you don't mind just wrapping up your comments.
Okay, but I'd like to make sure people know where High Street is. And that now I know that there's at least 2 people on High Street with concerns, and at least one person who's pretty close to High Street says, are they making this, what the term that they have there? I think they called it kind of a shared roadway, and making it maybe wider. I know I've seen with the Cuba Rabano, they kind of make like an oval thing all around it and whatever. And then I just said to myself, I could get right to the point and said, who's the point person on the township committee? When I have these concerns, I can either call them or email them or whatever. And that's the first person to go to with these questions.
Can I just,
Yeah, please.
this is a state project, but the point person is Bergen County. So really, you'll have more success getting detailed information from Bergen County, the county administration, probably their engineering department, but they have the plans. The plans are on file in the county's office, and also the properties that may potentially be impacted are also identified by Bergen County and their office. But the township committee is getting, the same way you would get the information, they'd have to call up to get it. It's not within their jurisdiction, it's a state highway.
Okay, I could just say, so the town doesn't care, but I'm not that guy. I'm not that
That's not
guy.
what Mr. Scatino said.
That's not what I said. You said, where can you get information from? The best source of information is Bergen County. If you don't want the best source, call whoever you want.
No, I'm not that guy. Believe me, I love you all up there. I've been in this town 50 years. I mean, you know, this is a great town. I like the people and everything like that. And I don't do say Weisenheim and things like that. So let me make myself more clear.
Just, if you don't mind.
Before I went to the county, I'd like to have, who should I go to?
Definitely
and
our
say,
township.
I'm going
Yes.
to the county.
Definitely our township administrator.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And our township administrator is kind of new to the town, so don't worry. I can explain with more time and whatever how much I know. Now,
Thank you, Mr. Kima. I do need to wrap this
a
up.
copy of the map that's probably as big as this table.
Thank you, Mr. King.
And I will ask if I can come downtown Hall sometime to see it if it hasn't been thrown out.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Thank you so
And it might
much.
take some time to find it, but that is something that I will ask for.
Thank you, Mr. King, though. We really appreciate it.
And I'm sorry I went overtime with it, but there are more people than just my weird little
Absolutely.
self worrying about it.
Thank you for lifting that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? All right, hearing or seeing nobody, do I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman George Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chewinski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Chewinski.
I would like to address, what you had asked for.
You want me to give you a quick report for the,
Oh,
building department? You got the violations.
if you want, or you can save it for the next meeting. What's the total?
Let me just give you the information.
All right, let's hear it.
The information that you're concerned about, or that was brought up as a concern from the public, property maintenance violations issued, there were 18 violations issued, there were 50 complaints. There's a lot more information. I can't give you the rest of the information. It would take, it wouldn't pertain to that. But it doesn't have the details of what the violations
All right.
were. So we'll try and get a hold of the actual violations, and maybe the code enforcement can come to our
Absolutely.
meeting and explain themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be great to have details on that information. Thank you so much. All right, introductions of ordinances. So our next item is the introduction of the following ordinances. Ordinance number 1261-26, amendment of chapter 185 entitled Land Use and Development Regulations. 1262-26, amendment of chapter 173 entitled Tree Removal and Replacement. 1263-26, amendment of chapter 160 entitled Stormwater Management Regulations. May I have a motion to introduce these ordinances?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right, the ordinances are introduced. Please.
Notice is hereby given that ordinances 1261, 1262, and 1263 were introduced and passed at first reading at a meeting of the Township Committee of Rochelle Park held today, March 11th, and ordered published in accordance with the law. Said ordinances will be considered for final reading and adoption at a meeting held on March 25th at 7 p.m. in the Township of Rochelle Park Municipal Building, at which time all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning such ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina. We have two ordinances for adoption this evening. Ordinance 1259-26, amendment of Section 5 entitled Rental Terms and Schedule of Policies and Procedures for the Rental of Billboard Display Flips, and ordinance number 1260-26, amendment of Chapter 4 entitled Administrator. May I have a motion to open this to the public for any questions regarding these ordinances?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Public hearing is now open. Please state your name and address for the record. Oh. Yeah, regarding these two ordinances.
That's not the,
So,
not 091.
nope, it is 1259-26 and 1260-26.
I only went to 191.
All righty. Seeing or hearing nobody, may I have a motion to close public comment?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello? Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right, ordinance number 1259-26, may I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Ordinance number 1260-26. May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller? Motion
Yes.
passes.
Thank you so much. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion unless a committee member or citizen so requests. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Truinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right, the next Township Committee will be held on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 at 7 o'clock p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Just shortchanged this,
He's saying he got shortchanged because there's a resolution on regarding local housing.
It says right. I know, he knows it, she knows it. It says, and he says, he has.
Edie,
First of all, let's correct something. He didn't get shortchanged. He spoke for about 9 minutes, and he got it 2 other times. So, just let me finish. So for someone from the public who's gotten up 3 different times and spoke probably for a total of 16 minutes saying they got shortchanged, I have to say, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen a governing body allow a resident to speak for 16 minutes at a meeting. That gentleman, he spoke for 16 minutes. So to say that he got shortchanged is a gross mischaracterization. That's all I'm saying.
The only issue we have, we just read this. It says right here.
Yes, when I answered this question, I was under the impression that he thought we were going to enact any ordinances regarding affordable housing, which they're not. This is just a resolution that talks about our obligation to implement the plan. So it has no detail. There will be ordinances introduced, and he will have an opportunity to speak on every one of those affordable housing ordinances. But if he wanted to speak about the affordable housing ordinance tonight, there is nothing on the agenda for an ordinance. It was just a resolution to implement the plan.
Listen, public comment was open. Every speaker had 5 minutes, and there was an opportunity to ask about that. I think that this meeting is done, though. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Pucci?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chalinsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
He actually is going to go and discuss.